Hello, welcome to the European Open briefing for Wednesday, October the 4th. I'm Rafa Boyajian, currency analyst at xm.com, and we're going to be taking a look at what's happening in the currency markets today. So the dollar is a little bit weaker this morning, coming off yesterday's multi-week highs. Those gains we saw in the US dollar early in the week were mostly fueled by speculation over who will replace Fed Chair Janet Yellen when her term expires in February next year. The euro had a poor start to the week after that independence referendum in the Spanish region of Catalonia, and the situation has escalated further after protesters took to the streets. So, but the euro is nevertheless a little bit firmer this morning on the back of a drop in the greenback. The pound is slightly firmer, has managed to stabilize after like the euro had a poor start to the week, although we did have some fairly upbeat remarks about Brexit and signs that, at least for now, Theresa May's government is united. The pound is being weighed by remarks by Brexit Secretary David Davis, who said that the UK would still walk out of the talks if they fail to come to a good agreement. And other notable movers this morning are the Aussie and the Kiwi. Both of them have managed to rebound with the help of a weaker US dollar. But let's first start with the greenback. We can see here that dollar yen it's appearing to lose some steam after failing to break above the 113.25 level. That was the high, a 2.5 months high we saw last week. It's made several attempts since then to rise above that level, but it has so far failed to not only break above that high, but to close above the 113 level. The dollar index is not too far though from yesterday's 1.5 months high of 93.92. So strong US data has been lifting the dollar in recent days, as well as renewed hopes that we will see a tax reform being approved by Congress in the coming months. Yesterday we had new car sales numbers. We saw a surge in US car sales in September. This was mainly boosted by people replacing their cars due to the damage from the hurricanes that hit the US East Coast at the end of August in early September. So it is hoped that the rebuilding efforts overall will offset the damage to the to US GDP as a result of those the hurricanes impacting the US economy in September. But the main story at the moment is in fact who's going to replace Janet Yellen. President Trump is reportedly looking to make an announcement on her replacement within the next 2-3 weeks, although Janet Yellen herself is still up for being renominated. But the main contenders at the moment are Kevin Walsh. He was a former Fed governor. He's seen to be a bit more hawkish than Yellen. That's why that's one of the reasons why the dollar had been going up in the past few days. But a surprise contender is also Jerome Powell. He's at the moment a Fed serving as one of the Fed's many governors, and he's also seen to be a strong contender, although he's not as hawkish as Walsh. So that's one of the factors why the dollar is a little bit weaker this morning, but that speculation will likely intensify in the coming weeks. Let's move on to the euro now, because despite the negative sentiment surrounding the Eurozone at the moment, mainly due to the political risks, the euro has rebounded from yesterday's 1.5 months lows. It briefly fell below 1.17 level yesterday. It has rebounded to around 1.1750. but that's mainly due to the dollar pullback. The situation, in fact, in Spain has escalated as protesters have hit the streets in protest against the violence used by the police in Sunday's vote, where the police attempted to disrupt the referendum. Catalonia's president has said that the regional government will declare independence in a matter of days. Potentially that could come by the end of this week or early next week. But the most likely outcome at the moment is that the Spanish government will probably impose direct rule, which it can do under the constitution, and call fresh elections for the region. And although the euro's downtrend isn't likely to be a long-term thing, it is nevertheless weighing on the currency in the short term. Let's move on to the pound now, because another currency that's being affected by political concerns, mainly Brexit and the fragility of Theresa May's government. Yesterday we had UK construction PMI dropping below 50, indicating that the sector contracted in September. The more important services PMI is due later today. The political uncertainty has somewhat eased a little bit after senior Conservatives rallied behind Theresa May at the Conservative Party conference. Theresa May will speak later today. But I guess what was had more impact on currency markets was what Brexit Minister David Davis said. He said that he repeated the fact that a no deal is better than a bad deal. He said if the outcome of the negotiation falls short of the deal that Britain needs, we will be ready for the alternative, adding that the government is making contingency plans. Sterling fell to near 3-week lows yesterday to around 1.3220. It's a little bit firmer this morning, around 1.3250 against the dollar. Looking at the Australian and the New Zealand dollars, both have managed to rebound this morning. The Aussie had dropped to a 2.5 months low yesterday, although the risk for the Aussie is to the downside, given the fact that the RBA is sounding a little bit more concerned about the stronger exchange rate and its negative impact on growth and inflation. That could limit further upside for the Aussie. And in New Zealand, apart from the election uncertainty, where the three main parties will be trying to come to a coalition agreement in the next few weeks. Yesterday we had the global dairy auction, where we saw a drop in the price of dairy by 2.4%. So that is weighing on the Kiwi, although the Kiwi has nevertheless managed to come off yesterday's lows, where it hit around 1 month's lows against the greenback. Looking at a quick look at the Canadian dollar now, because the Canadian dollar had been falling over the past months, touching a 1 month low 1.2538 per US dollar. USD CAD had is actually still on a downtrend. We saw 2 rate hikes by the Bank of Canada in July, the first one and followed by another one in September. And after that second rate hike, the USD CAD went into a correction, though in recent days the Bank of Canada officials have been making slightly more dovish remarks. That has weighed on the loonie further, but this morning the loonie has managed to firm a little bit against the greenback. It's currently trading at 1.2472. Yesterday we had the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Canada saying that although growth is expected to slow in the coming quarters, it should still grow above trend, but they also added that even though the economy will grow faster, we could potentially not create any inflationary pressures because of increases in productive capacity. And finally, let's have a look at today's economic calendar. We can see we just had the services PMI out of the Eurozone, which was revised a little bit up in September to 55.8. The composite PMI was unchanged at 56.7. we're going to have retail sales and UK UK services PMIs due shortly, and also out of the US session we're going to have the ADP National Employment Report and the ISM non-manufacturing PMI, as well as speeches by Fed Chair Janet Yellen. She is due to speak at 19:15 GMT. ECB President Mario Draghi will also speak at 17:15 GMT, though he will be making opening remarks. He may not comment on monetary policy, while UK Prime Minister Theresa May's speech may also attract some attention when she gives closing remarks at the party conference. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.